Saturday morning, 3rd of June, time for a fairly major test. I've now put a Kaneyama Asagi Japanese natural stone edge on my rather recalcitrant Boker Damascus. I used a soft yellow Nagura stone to work up a light slurry. I did do a little video of it, but it wasn't very good, only a few minutes. Anyway, I've stropped it. I've now got sufficient ugly stubble to work it, but also I'm going to include another test with another razor. But the main test today is to see now if I've got a decent edge on this Boker, because apparently, according to the shave forums and my very good friend John Petter Oman, it's in Norway, it's a common fault with certain makes to actually mess up the final edge. This is usually through putting it in some sort of buff wheel at the factory, which effectively destroys the temper and the final finish on the edge. At least that's the theory. I don't work at Boker, so I don't know. But if I did, I'd be kicking some butt, because these are extremely expensive limited production razors. And I was very concerned by the fact that my gold number 14 out of 20 Boker Damascus Meister Cutter gave a better shave with the same edge that I put on it as the second Boker Damascus, which now John has. And I just couldn't fathom why it wasn't shaving. It had little nicks out the edge, all sorts of problems. Turns out it's factory induced. So there you go. Just goes to show you need to actually cut back the edge on a lot of new razors to fresh steel. That way, any bad tears and heat inconsistencies on the final tempered edge are removed. Anyway, a very costly lesson to learn. I'm absolutely delighted that John has managed to get a good shave out of it. So that's wonderful news. Let's see if I can get a good shave out of mine. So there we are. This is the limited edition, only 20 were ever made, Boker stainless steel Damascus with, in this case, a jnat edge. Let's see how it works. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Oh yeah. An improvement. Is it a massive improvement? Yeah, I think it is. It is an improvement. Yeah, there's less drag. Oh yeah, definitely less drag. I think we've cracked it. So, John, marvellous job, man. Thank you for the info. It was worth it. This is, to me, a very, very, very special razor. It took me over a year. In fact, I think it nearly took 2 years to persuade the lady dealer in Germany to part with it. Because as she said, oh, but I'll never get another. Yeah, I know you'll never get another, but you got it up for sale. So I knocked her a few £100 on the price. And at long last, it properly shaves. I'm very pleased with that. As a counterblast, let me show you something which I've been contemplating selling, because neither I nor Gary could actually put a very good edge on it. And this one I've been experimenting with. This is a Drew Dick Damascus, or to be honest, although it is a Damascus, it's a San Mai. So I don't know if I can show you very clearly, guys. I probably can't. But it has a wonderful patterned upper spine, lower grind in Damascus. But of course, the edge, as you can see, is a totally dissimilar metal. So it is a San Mai. Very, very clever. But it wasn't shaving very well. And I might have cracked it. Let's find out. Ooh, how quiet it is. Well, it's good, but I've got to be honest, it's not as good as the Boker. It's a tall steel edge joined, forge weld joined to the Damascus upper. But it, you can see it is cutting okay. This is a poisonous comparison. It's like comparing a good Ford to a Rolls Royce. That's a bit cruel. If you want pure beautiful looks, without doubt the Drew Dick is one of the finest looking razors I've ever owned. If you're talking about pure cutting ability, at the moment we're definitely talking about the Boker. The only thing I would say is the Boker has been a labour of love. Oh, listen to that cut. Boker, of course, is a very deep full hollow. The Drew Dick is I think it was probably a half hollow, which is why you can't hear it. Yeah, I've got no complaints with this Boker now. So, if anybody's up to doing it and you've got yourself a new razor or a recalcitrant edge and it's playing you up, cut it back, especially if it's got a nick on it. Cut it back with a 3 or a 1K stone. Go through the usual progression. And I would say that, so much to my surprise, I would say that the Japanese edge, Kaneyama Asagi edge, is extremely effective. But it could just be that I've cut all the bad steel away. I don't know. I had a look under a microscope, and as far as I could tell, it had the usual classic sand-blasted edge. But one thing I have found is you've got to strop the living crap out of one to get the edge really as you want it. We're not talking about your usual 25 laps on a canvas. I'm talking about 80 laps on a canvas and 80 laps on the leather. And that I did on both razors. And by gum, you certainly get an edge. You can't do that consistently, of course, but oh my goodness me. Lazarus brought back from the dead. Listen to that cut. I've had better razors. I didn't expect to get too wonderful a result from any Damascus. I'm not very in favour of the idea. The original Damascus was used, of course, from the Middle Ages up to the present for sword and knife blades, because you simply couldn't rely on the steel. For the beauty, yes, you get these wonderful Woods blade patterns. Oh, that is nice. I do like that. Yep. At long last, I think we've got a good edge. Harsh comparison to the Drew Dick, because the Drew Dick I actually finished on an 8K. I tried everything on it, so did Gary. The 8K Snow White stone was about the only thing it took any notice of. On a very fine grit stone, it just laughed at me. It just would not give a smooth shave. I think this is to do with the temper, possibly of this high grade tool steel. It must be almost impossible to get a good temper when you're joining steels together. Obviously the danger is delamination in the worst case, or just simply losing the temper. But anyway, it's pretty good on a second pass. But what I might do, rather than immediately part with this very rare razor, is put it onto a jnat edge, because it's had every other sort of edge. As far as feel goes, it does actually feel very good. Drew makes beautiful, beautiful shaped blades. I mean, look at the monkey tail on that. Absolutely stunning. It holds incredibly well. It's a good sized blade. It's not a giant blade, which I normally favour. This is I don't think it's quite 8/8. It probably is 8/8 though, but it certainly is an exceptionally nice razor doll. I haven't actually used it for over a year. Might be about 18 months since I tried it. I tend to give up when I run out of knowledge. Hence why we're all so useful having these forums and chats. And that's why I love blade testing. Hence the name of the channel. Anyway, I'm not going to labour the point. All I would say is I'm not going to sell another razor just because it won't shave as well as I wanted it to, because there are people out there who can give such sound advice. John being the main one for me. Yeah, it's nice. I'll be honest with you, a year ago I wouldn't have dared go across the moustache with this particular razor. Even now it has an unusual feel to it. It's actually comfortable and it's quite smooth. I think I need to persist with this one. I know Nicholas rather likes it because it is an extremely beautiful razor. I hate being defeated by something. You've got to remember that inanimate objects, be they razors or rocks or knives or guns, have an inherent hatred for the human being. And if they can trip you up, they bloody well will. And this one was tripping me and Gary up. But I've got to say, on an 8K Nanoir super white stone and a great deal of stropping, it seems to have redeemed itself. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not as good as a well, it's not as good as a Philly 14, but there are very few razors on this planet are. You see, the main difference between a custom razor like this and a perfect production razor like a Philly 14 is the ease of putting the edge on. As I've spouted before, an absolute amateur can put a a good edge on a Philly 14. This is a challenge to put a good edge on. And maybe that's what it's all about, challenge. After all, otherwise, we'd all use safety razors, wouldn't we? For many years, I was using those horrid multi-blade expensive razors. You had to just dive into the shower, use one of those, and you're straight off ready to go to a nightclub and pull some lovely lady. But those days, a little bit gone for me. And then I found I didn't want to go. I actually found, breaking it down very quickly, I actually found the multi-blade disposable cartridge razors did give a very smooth shave. However, believe it or not, I've kept one. This is a horrible single blade, ultra cheap disposable, and it gives just as good a shave. But it doesn't give the feeling of accomplishment, which this does. If you want to feel, accomplished, use something which requires a little bit of skill and human input. As I keep saying, I'm very grateful for the journey I've been on with straight razor shaving. Yes, we're all going to get the occasional little nick and cut. It's like anything in life. If there's no risk, there's not a lot of point doing it, is there? There we are. Perfect shave with 2 Damascus razors. The winner without doubt at the moment is the ultra hollow grind stainless steel Damascus Meister Cutter 8.8 limited production by Boker. Thank you, Boker, for buggering up edges. It's very kind of you. And here's the Drew Dick, which is the most elegant shape. Look at that. It's got a very slight smile, which is very useful for getting into nooks and crannies. It has an arguably strange high-speed steel, possibly tool steel edge. Not exactly sure what he uses, but with perseverance, as I'm going to do, I'm sure this edge can be brought to even better, which I think I'm going to do for now. So there you go. One Drew Dick, lovely signature blade, signature monkey tail, and one Boker Gold Damascus. Both now seem to be redeemed. I'm very pleased with the Boker. Thanks, gents, for watching. I'm just going to leave a very quick wash off and a quick test of the Allen block, just to see if I've completely destroyed my top skin layers. Nah, that's good. Yeah, admittedly, it was only 2 days of stubble, but it was pretty heavy. It's just you can't always see my stubble because so much of it is grey. But take my word for it, it's like old barbed wire. And, oh, that's really surprising. No sting at all. Woo-hoo! That's when you know when you've cracked an edge. When you can actually have a shave, put the Allen block on, and there's nothing there. It's just, completely smooth. So, persistence is the trick. I've done a very long video, but it was a very special shave. Anyway, chaps, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the contributors, all the sound advice. I'll see you guys soon, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.